Hi friends, welcome back. In today's video, I wanted to talk about low moods because I think it makes all the difference if we understand what they are and what they do. Because fortunately, the way that moods work in human beings is completely predictable and completely the same between all of us. And it's really just our misunderstanding of it and our thinking that our moods are different or personal or unique or have a different cause that innocently has us not see what's true about them. So the thing that's really good to know about low moods is that you don't ever have to worry that you're going to be in one and not know it because they have a predictable feel to them. A low mood feels lower, sadder, more difficult, more distressed, more agitated, less free, less light, a lot more heavy, a lot more kind of burdensome. And while many of us are just unfortunately so used to living like that we don't really see it as kind of, we don't have a sensitivity to it that some of us have. But we all kind of know if someone asks us to check in, how are you feeling? And you're not feeling light, free, happy, neutral, joyful, peaceful, and all of those things that we innately are, then you're going to kind of know, yeah, I must be in a low mood because I feel stressed, or I feel tight, or I feel agitated, or I feel kind of mad at people right now, or I feel like pressured. There's so much on my plate. And no matter what excuse or explanation or reason we give for it, a low mood feels different than a high mood or a neutral mood. It feels unpleasant in some way. It feels a little less like us and a little more like weather. And so why it's so important to know what a low mood does to us is because in that state, we're not seeing life clearly. None of us. And if you know you're not seeing life clearly, then a few things happen. One is that you're not going to think that you should be able to solve problems that look like problems in that state of mind. You kind of know, oh, if everything in my life is looking problematic, difficult, stressful, kind of like hopeless, like there's no resolve, if you know that in that state of mind, that's what you're going to see more of, and if you also know that you're not really going to see solutions and clarity and answers and a bigger perspective, then it allows you to really relax into it because you're no longer up against what it looks like reality. But if you kind of know, oh, it looks like reality, but it's not reality, then you relax into the fact that you're seeing a distortion in thought. You're seeing an unclear picture of how things are. And when you know that, then it doesn't bother you when you can't find a solution to your problem because it's like, oh, I'm just in a mood where I'm not going to see solutions in this mood. That's what happens. That's what this mood does. That's what this mood is. It's one where I'm not going to see the big picture. Things are going to look really personal. Things are going to look difficult. Things are going to look more hopeless. Things are going to appear bigger deals and more complicated and complex than they actually are. And so when we know that, it's like, it doesn't, it's like, oh, I see what's going on here. Instead of it being, well, what's wrong with me that I can't find a solution? Or, well, this must be an actual problem because if it wasn't, I would find an easy solution to it. And it's true that you will find a solution to it, but not in a low mood. So understanding our moods allows us to calibrate to the truth of the situation, which is, yeah, in this state of mind, it's going to look like a problem and you're not going to be able to easily see solutions. But that's not a function of it actually being a problem, and it's also not a function of there being no solutions. It's purely a function of the mood you're in, the state of mind you're in, and the thinking you're having in that moment, which are just three ways of saying the same thing. And the other reason it's so important to know that we're not seeing clearly in a low mood is we know not to make big decisions from that place. It's kind of like knowing you're drunk when you're drunk. If you don't know, it's going to seem like a really good idea to do things that are really not a good idea to do. But if somebody reminds you, if you remember, oh yeah, I'm drunk, it's not going to look like a good idea with the realization of how impaired you are to drive, to text your ex, to climb on top of that building that, of course, there's no way that you're going to get injured. All of these things seen through the lens of, oh, I'm impaired right now, will make it natural and obvious what is a good idea to do and what isn't a good idea to do. Because you're not taking things at face value. You're not taking things at, well, this feels like a good idea right now, so it must be a good idea, because why would I think it is if it isn't? Instead, you're really aware, like, oh, that's a function of the state of mind, that when you're drunk, it seems like you can do all of these things. It seems like they're all good ideas. It seems like they're all safe. It seems like they're all harmless. It seems like I'm invincible. But that's the alcohol talking. That's the fact that I am in an impaired state, which is why I think that those things are good ideas when they're not. And so same with being in a low mood. If we see that we're in an impaired state, we see that we are not ourselves, not in our clarity, not in our full creative resources that we bring to the table, it's natural for us to be like, this isn't the time to make these decisions. This isn't the time for me to be really thinking that I have all of my bearings and thinking I have my ducks in a row. You kind of realize, well, I'm not as clear as I thought I am. And when I get clear, the decision will be easy and obvious. But until then, I just know not to do anything. I just know to kind of wait it out until I have my clarity back. And it's so important to know that. It's so important when we're drunk to know, okay, in the morning when I'm sober, things are going to look different. And I'm going to be really glad that I didn't, do those things and take that thinking at face value. And likewise, when we're in a low mood, it's good to know, well, I'm not clear right now. I'm not in my resources right now. I'm not seeing life as life is right now. I'm seeing a distortion. I'm seeing an impairment. And that's not a problem with us. That's not like oh, you should be better. You should be able to be in a low mood and have all your wits about you and be full of clarity and creativity and calm and love and compassion. No. It's perfectly, completely normal that in that state of mind, you're going to be like any other human in that state of mind, a little bit off. But it's so important to know that, because when we understand that we're off when we're off, we naturally calibrate. We naturally take that into account and say, oh, right, this isn't the time to be making that decision. This isn't the time to be down on myself that I don't see a solution here. This isn't the time to be really taking what I think and feel seriously, because I'm not thinking and feeling in a way that is kind of true and reflective of what's actually going on. And when we see that and understand that, it makes all the difference. So I hope this was helpful, and I'll be back with you next week. If you like these videos, please subscribe or give me a thumbs up. And I love comments as well. So if you have any questions or anything you'd like to add, please leave it below and I'll get back to you. Take care and speak soon.